Here we go. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Joshua Chow. I'm here today with Rowena, Dr. Rowena Christensen, Dr. Christine Maynard, and of course, Jackie Carpenter. We're the co-founders and organizers of the ASBX 2021. When we're delighted to welcome everyone to our conference this year on Space Biology and Health Summit. Today, what we wanted to do was really to share with the audience, some of the highlights and also the trends that are happening in all the aspects of space biology and health. And so here today, we're just really want to give everyone a snapshot, get everyone excited. If you haven't registered, now's a good time for you to register so that you'll be able to access not only the presentations from over 100 speakers from around the world, but to also join in our live discussion panels from also world experts as well. So today, I'm going to hand over to Rowena, who's going to discuss about the different speakers and topics over in the space health category. Over to you, Rowena.
Thanks very much, Josh. And I'm really delighted to say we have a wide variety of topics which are being covered in our space health collections this year. Our first category is space health and human readiness, and we have a number of presentations relating to commercial spaceflight and also training for commercial spaceflight and the importance of not only physiological readiness, but also psychological readiness. And then our second category is space health and human systems. And in this one, we're having a bit of a deep dive into a number of topics which are really important in understanding what happens to the human body during spaceflight. And we have surgical topics. We're looking at the immune system, musculoskeletal health, female astronaut health, and also a really interesting thought process of how we deal with cardiac arrest in space and the whole normal process of using the chain of survival and how that might apply in space. And that actually leads quite well into our third section, which is space governance and the future of space. And the first presentation is by an ethicist looking at the appropriateness of euthanasia during long duration spaceflight. For instance, if somebody does suffer a really serious cardiac arrest. And then in that collection, we also have art, human rights in space, looking at surviving and thriving, another look at women and their future in space and living in space sustainably. So I think we have a fantastic diverse collection of speakers and so many really, really interesting presentations. So I would really encourage people to have a good look at all the presentations you possibly can in this section. And now I'd like to hand over to Christine to talk about our space biology collections. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also really happy to be here and super excited to introduce this section of ASBX this year. Obviously, some of the components are actually going to have some overlap with what Rowena was just telling us about. There's going to be, a lot of interest in cancer therapy and investigation specifically of brain cancer and what could be done and identified using the space environment. There is a lot of interest in mechanobiology, but we're also actually having speakers really investigating actually the origins of life and from a biology standpoint and not otherwise. But something that gets me really excited is actually one of the talks that specifically looks at pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, which sounds really complicated and probably is, but it's something that is so fundamental to any organism that we've discussed this many times in our groups, and it's phenomenal that people are having the capabilities to study this in that environment, and I'm really excited about that. And I hope so will be our audience. There's going to be a large focus on large omics studies, so everything from the big data, as we know, and data-driven investigations for future crew health, which will become more and more important as we go more into commercial space flights and not governmental trained astronauts in the future. So that's going to be very interesting. And we'll hear a lot about, investigations talking about reduced gravity and what that means for mission to Mars, and also kind of adding on to what we heard just before, what are the differences between male and female physiology and really on the biological portions. And a lot of that we'll be discussing, and I want to kind of advertise for that as well in the different live panels, as Josh already mentioned. We'll have specific sections that are a little bit time zone related, and we have some specifically on the US side, 4 of these. So I invite anybody who's interested to join us live, submit questions and be part of the discussion, because a lot of these subjects that we're highlighting here will be individually discussed live in those sessions as well. And I kind of finally, to sum the biology side up, there's also a lot of emphasis on radiation and what that means for biological samples, and also for the future of human health, both in LEO, but also deep space. And really don't want to forget our really exciting student contributions also to space biology and overall. And more highlights on that are coming from Jackie. So handing over to you.
Thanks, Christine. We are so excited because we're bringing the whole STEM space to this conference. And for the first time, we've got students contributing, and we're talking preschoolers, high school, primary school. We have the What'll Happen to the Waddle program, where we have 300 locations around Australia doing research, real scientific research. And I think it's the biggest space science experiment ever done in schools in our country to date. So over 180,000 students involved in that. We also have a Basel experiment. So I've asked a good friend of mine, Murray Henstock, to talk about these things at a school level. So what's it like to be a teacher in a school, given the conditions we have right now with in school, out of school, at school, face-to-face, not face-to-face, all the things that are going on with the impacts of schools. But we've also got remote operation of technology and how we can do that with students. It doesn't just have to be something done at a university. We can do these things outside of school or during school time. So we have a large number of projects that we assist schools with. So what I've done is I've asked a lot of teachers, practicing teachers, to give us some insights into that, as well as we're looking at a panel. So we're going to be doing a STEM space panel, and that will be alive. So please register for that, and you can ask as many questions as you want around what we know, what we don't know, and what we hope to find out with all our space STEM projects. So back to you, Josh.
Thank you, Jackie. And from what I'm hearing, it's very exciting. All these different categories, and even though they are their own individual topics, everyone can see that it all comes down together, and we're an ecosystem. So everything from space health, how do we survive about space on the physiological side, the biology side, which is more at the cellular tissue level, which also directly influence the physiological side. So what I'm introducing is the space economy and technology. I'm a bit of a tech nerd myself, so it's a very interesting category. But it is really about how are we developing right now and into the future technology to help human space exploration. So in this year, in this section, we're very lucky to have a lot of the world prominent leaders, like Axiom, who are providing services for private astronauts to go into their space station in February next year. So it has been a very exciting year in terms of the economy and technology, the Inspiration 4 launch, Blue Origin, and we're going to see a lot more people going into space. So space biology and health is definitely a very important topic. So in this section, we're going to, the speakers are going to share over four main topics. Mental health, especially for those astronauts who are going to be in space for extended period of time. Mental health is a very important thing. And of course, analog. Traditionally, analog have been around for a while, but what we're seeing is that these analogs are becoming more advanced because we're seeing a lot more value in how we can test technology and that translation of these technology. Furthermore, we're going to hear speakers talk about human flight training. How do we prepare the human body for space, whether it be short-term, visitors, space tourism type thing, to extended stay over in space. So there's that aspect of it. So there is quite a lot, and of course service providers, both for research, experimentation, testing of technology, all the way to actual people being sent to space. So there is a lot of technology. I'm pretty sure and confident everyone is going to really enjoy it. Being the organizer, I get to have a sneak peek, so I can already tell you it's very exciting. So again, please don't miss out this opportunity to really hear from world leaders and industry leaders on what is happening now and moving into the future, just as being informed or to help in your decision making. So thank you once again to all our organizers for putting together such a wonderful conference, and we all look forward to seeing you at ASBX in about 2 weeks' time. Thank you.